The first note floated into the air so softly that half the audience almost missed it. The stage lights were too bright for a boy who had spent most of his life in shadows, but he didn't flinch. His hands trembled slightly as he gripped the microphone, his worn shoes barely visible beneath pants that had clearly been mended too many times. The crowd expected another nervous contestant, another ordinary audition that would fade into memory before the next commercial break. But then the boy opened his mouth again, and the room changed forever. His voice was raw, warm, and filled with something far heavier than talent. It carried hunger, heartbreak, exhaustion, and hope all at once. It was the kind of voice that made people stop thinking and start feeling. Within seconds, the chatter in the audience disappeared. Even the judges leaned forward, unable to look away from the small boy standing alone under the giant spotlight. His name was Mateo Reyes, a 14-year-old boy from a small fishing village outside Cebu in the Philippines. Life had never offered him anything easily. His father had once been a fisherman, leaving before sunrise every day with dreams of returning home with enough money to feed his wife and children. But dreams are fragile things when storms are stronger. One stormy night changed everything. Mateo still remembered that night with painful clarity. The winds were violent, shaking their tiny wooden home as rain crashed against the roof like stones. His mother sat beside a candle, praying under her breath while his younger sister cried quietly in the corner. His father had gone to sea earlier that day and never returned. By morning, several boats were found shattered against rocks. Others disappeared completely. His father's boat was never found. After that, life became less about dreams and more about survival. Mateo's mother took whatever work she could find, washing clothes, cleaning houses, cooking for neighbors who paid little and complained much. She worked until her hands cracked and bled. Still, it wasn't enough. Their meals grew smaller. Some nights were only rice and salt. Other nights were nothing at all. Mateo watched his mother pretend she wasn't hungry so his younger sister could eat the last portion. That was the moment something hardened inside him. He was just a child, but he understood something many adults never fully learn. When life gives you pain, you either let it break you or turn it into purpose. So he started working too. Before school, Mateo woke at 4 in the morning to help unload fish at the local market. The smell was unbearable. The pay was worse. But every coin mattered. After school, he sold bottled water to tourists near the beach. At night, he sang. Music had always been the only thing that made life feel bigger than their circumstances. His father used to play an old cracked guitar after dinner, teaching Mateo simple chords while singing classic songs late into the night. One song always stood out. Hotel California. His father loved it, not because he fully understood the lyrics, but because he loved how the melody felt like a journey, mysterious, emotional, unforgettable. When his father disappeared, Mateo couldn't bring himself to sing it for months. But one evening, while sitting outside their home staring at the ocean that had taken everything from him, he picked up the old guitar and played the opening chords. His voice cracked on the first verse. By the second chorus, he was crying. His mother listened from inside the house, tears silently rolling down her face. That night, something changed. From then on, Mateo sang Hotel California every evening, not as a performance, but as a conversation with the father he missed more than words could explain. Word spread through the village. Neighbors started gathering outside his house to listen. A local teacher heard him one night and was stunned. "You need to audition," she told him. Mateo laughed. "Audition? For what?" She showed him a flyer for a major televised talent competition holding regional auditions in Manila. The winner would receive life-changing prize money and international opportunities. To Mateo, Manila felt as distant as another planet. They had no money for transportation, no fancy clothes, no vocal coach, and certainly no connections. Still, his mother looked at him and said words he would never forget. "We may be poor, but poverty is not permission to stop dreaming." They began saving. Every coin from Mateo's work went into an old glass jar. His sister contributed coins she earned helping neighbors. His mother worked longer hours. Weeks became months. Just when they were close to their goal, disaster struck again. His mother collapsed while working. Exhaustion and untreated illness had finally caught up to her. The doctor said she needed rest and medication. Medication cost money. Money meant choices. Dream or survival. Mateo stared at the audition flyer for a long time that night. Then he quietly tore it in half. His mother found the pieces in the trash. The next morning, she handed him a small envelope. Inside was money. Not enough for treatment. Enough for Manila. Mateo's face went pale. No. Yes, she replied firmly. But your medicine, she interrupted him. If I teach you to sacrifice every dream for hardship, then hardship wins. He cried harder than he had since losing his father. 3 days later, Mateo boarded a crowded bus to Manila. It was his first time leaving his village. The city overwhelmed him immediately, towering buildings, endless traffic, noise that never seemed to end. He felt impossibly small. At auditions, things only got worse. Hundreds of contestants arrived in polished outfits with professional training and confident smiles. Mateo stood among them in second-hand clothes clutching his father's old guitar case. Some contestants whispered. Others laughed. One boy looked him up and down and muttered, "Wrong building, kid." Mateo lowered his eyes. For a moment, he considered leaving. But then he touched the guitar case. His father's guitar. His father's song. He stayed. Hours later, his number was finally called. Walking onto that stage felt like stepping into another universe. The judges looked intimidating, glamorous, untouchable. One asked gently, "Tell us about yourself." Mateo swallowed hard. "My name is Mateo. I'm from Cebu. My father taught me how to sing before he was lost at sea." The room fell silent. Another judge asked, "Why this competition?" He hesitated, then answered honestly, "Because my family needs hope." No dramatic speech, no polished line, just truth. He adjusted the microphone, strummed the opening chords of Hotel California, and began. From the very first lyric, everyone knew they were witnessing something extraordinary. His voice wasn't perfect in the technical sense. It was better. It was real. Every word sounded lived, not performed. The song transformed under his delivery, becoming less about a hotel and more about longing, memory, and the painful beauty of holding onto something already gone. Audience members wiped tears from their faces. One judge removed his glasses, visibly emotional. Another placed a hand over her mouth. Mateo closed his eyes during the chorus, imagining his father hearing him somewhere beyond the ocean. His voice grew stronger, bigger, braver. By the final note, the room was frozen. Silence. Not awkward silence. Sacred silence. The kind that follows something unforgettable. Then the audience exploded. A standing ovation erupted like thunder. People screamed, clapped, cried. Mateo stood there stunned, breathing hard, unsure if any of it was real. The judges began speaking. One called him, the definition of heart. Another said, "You didn't just sing a song. You told your life story." The harshest judge leaned forward and said something no one expected. "In all my years judging, very few performances remind us why music matters. Yours did." Mateo's eyes widened. Then came the moment. A hand slowly moved toward the golden buzzer. Time seemed to stop. Mateo shook his head in disbelief. "No, no." The judge smiled and slammed the button. Gold confetti exploded across the stage. The audience screamed louder than ever. Mateo dropped to his knees, sobbing uncontrollably as golden paper rained over him like sunlight made tangible. He covered his face, overwhelmed by the impossible becoming real. His mother watched from home on a borrowed television surrounded by neighbors. She collapsed into tears the moment she saw the golden confetti. His little sister jumped and screamed with joy. The entire village celebrated as if they had all won together. Because in many ways, they had. Mateo advanced directly to the live shows, but more importantly, his story spread across the country. Donations poured in. A local hospital offered free treatment for his mother. A music school offered him a scholarship. Businesses sponsored his education. For the first time in years, his family slept without fear of tomorrow. Months later, Mateo returned to his village. Not as a celebrity. Not as someone changed by fame. But as the same boy carrying the same guitar. He walked to the shore at sunset, sat facing the ocean, and softly played Hotel California one more time. This time, there were no tears. Only gratitude. He smiled toward the horizon. "I did it, Papa." The waves answered with quiet rhythm. Mateo learned something powerful through every hardship, every sacrifice, every rejection, and every miracle. Your circumstances may shape your beginning, but they do not own your ending. Talent can open doors, but resilience kicks them down. Dreams are often born in places the world ignores. In tiny homes, In hungry stomachs. In tired hands. In children forced to grow up too soon. And sometimes, all it takes is one moment, one song, one chance, for the entire world to finally listen. So if life has made you feel invisible, forgotten, or too small to matter, remember Mateo. The poor boy with a borrowed dream and a broken guitar. Because sometimes the loudest voices come from the quietest places. And sometimes, the child standing in patched clothes under unforgiving lights is carrying enough hope to light up the entire world.